Welcome, Aquaba. Today, I will be telling you one of my favorite stories from childhood. It is about the legend of Aku Sika. Shh, Anansesem Shrikasa. Relax and let me take you back to another place and time. Anansesem Siso. A long time ago, in the village of Adepaye, there lived a farmer called Kwame Jemfi. His nickname was Tibone because he was so unlucky. But when the time is right, your enemies are indeed put to shame. When he was 27 years old, Kwame found and married the love of his life, Ama Brua, who was considered a great beauty. Unfortunately, Tibone's bad luck came into play again in his marriage. For 10 long years after they were married, despite several visits to powerful medicine men, the couple were still unable to give birth. So now, in addition to calling Kwame Tibone, some villagers folks also started calling him Oniba, meaning without children. Out of frustration and hate, Kwame Jemfi married another woman, Ejewa, and had 3 children with her, 2 girls and a boy. You can just imagine the drama in the house. At the least opportunity, Ejewa would do things designed to hurt Brewer and remind Kwame that she was the one who had taken away his shame of childlessness and that Brewer was as barren as a dry bone. Every morning, she and her children would parade around the house, chanting rhymes designed to hurt Brewer. One of their favorite rhymes was, Wa wuniba, she with no child, ha, pack your things and leave. In fact, to say it was heartbreaking for Brewer was an understatement. But what is that expression again? What God cannot do does not exist. 15 solid years after getting married, Brewer also got pregnant. I saw you smile. Yes, indeed, I saw it. And she gave birth to a beautiful, no, strike that, a radiant baby girl. Kwame named her Aku after his mother. Oh, Tibone, what is it with you and your bad luck? Before Aku could even walk, her mother died from some strange illness. Come closer. Some folks said that Ejewa had poisoned her out of jealousy. But that's a story for another day. Oh. Kwame mourned his wife. Believe me, Kwame was inconsolable. He lost interest in everything around him. Elders and relatives had to seriously counsel him that he was still responsible for his second wife and 4 young children to even get him interested in working again to feed his family. The only bright spot in his otherwise very sad life was his daughter Aku, who was his shadow and followed him everywhere. When Aku was about 2 years old, her father set traps that he was intending to take to his farm to catch some animals that were eating his crops. He stepped behind his hut for just a moment to look for something to test the strength of the traps because he hadn't used them for so long. In his absence, Aku went to touch one of the traps. It immediately cut off her left hand at the wrist. Oh! Obimbro! Someone help! Someone please help! Obimbra! Kwame carried Aku to Denchi, a herbalist, to stop the oozing blood and to save her life. 2 months passed before Aku's limb was properly healed, but she was without a hand and fingers. Out of grief and self-blame, Kwame Gyamfi took to drinking until he got sick and died. As per Akan tradition, Kwame Gyamfi's brother Yaumenu was to take charge of Aku, her stepmother, and 3 siblings who hated Aku because of her beauty. Ejewa declined to remarry her husband's brother, who was not just lazy but also a drunkard. She, with her 3 children, left for her own hometown of Adoso. Aku stayed but was sent to her mother's only spinster sister, as Yaumenu was not prepared at all to take care of a toddler. Years passed, and Aku grew with a dazzling beauty and caught the attention of all the young men in the village. She concealed her deformed hand in her clothes all the time, so people did not know about her deformity. During an Ojura festival, the Omanhene, the chief himself, Nana Jansrebo, saw Aku during the festive activities and inquired about her family. Omanhene's delegates slaughtered a sheep and poured the blood on the feet of Aku. A delegation hung some palm fronds on the door of Aku's home, signifying that the Omanhene desired Aku as a wife. 3 days after, Nana Jansrebo completed the marriage rites. Within a short month, Aku, because of her humility and willingness to help, became the darling of everybody in the palace, much to the annoyance of Omanhene's first wife, Sechuraa. Even though the king saw the deformity of Aku, he promised to be with her after Aku had explained the circumstances leading to her deformity. Sechuraa did not know why Aku continually covered her left hand all the time. After some detailed investigation, she learnt of Aku's stepmother and reached out to her for information. Upon learning that Aku was married to a whole Omanhene, while her 2 girls, who were older than Aku, were sitting at home, unmarried and bitter, Ejewa's long buried hatred towards Aku resurfaced. She was only too happy to describe the unfortunate accidents that had left Aku deformed. With that weapon in hand, Sechuraa summoned her husband, the king, into the presence of the sub-chiefs. Adontinghene, Nifahene, Binkumhene, and Chidomhene. She brought Ejewa in to testify to the fact that her husband's new bride was a deformed woman, against the customs and traditions of Adepaye. As wise elders, the chiefs wanted to apply fairness in listening to this allegation and also give Aku a chance to defend herself. It was agreed that the yam festival was just a week away, so the wives of the king would be called upon to open the ceremony by pounding yam for them to ascertain the truth. Aku, together with her aunt, visited her father's brother, who did not wish her well and reprimanded her for marrying an Omanhene when she knew her physical status. Aku and her aunt thought of a solution to this big test, but the situation was just hopeless. 2 days to the festival, Aku was done with thinking. She had had just enough. The jeering and the constant practice of Sechuraa towards the yam fountain for the upcoming festival was just too much. Aku decided to go and drown herself in the river bordering the village. At the river, she wept for a long time, asking for the ancestral spirits of her mother and father to forgive her, and praying for strength for her aunt who had raised her and truly loved her. At all this, just as she was about to jump into the river, a voice like a thunderclap called her name. It was a very huge, tall man who had just smiled at her. He asked why she was crying so pitifully. Aku narrated all her ordeals to him. The elderly man calmed Aku down after looking at her deformed hand. The stranger whistled, and a huge snake appeared from the river and called up. There was something made of gold on its head that looked like a crown. At least that's what it looked like to Aku, who was afraid and did not want to look at the snake too closely. The stranger instructed Aku to put her amputated hand into the mouth of the python. Aku was stunned. It's true, yes, she came to the river to kill herself, but death by snake bite was not what she had in mind though. If it were you, would you have put your hand in the mouth of the snake? Aku looked at the tall, noble-looking man, then looked at the snake, and decided to take a step of faith. She reluctantly placed her hand in the mouth of the snake, closed her eyes, and waited for the bite. After about a minute, when she removed her hand upon the strange man's instruction, her severed limb was back, adorned with gold ornaments. Tears of gratitude streaming down her face, Aku thanked the man. He told her that this was a gift from the python, who was the river god. When Aku got home, it was only the king, her husband, and her aunt that she told of the encounter with the strange man and the river god. She continued to hide her hand in the cloth, just as she had always done. The day of the Yam festival finally arrived. Aku's enemies could not hold their anticipation. Today was the day. Their mortal enemy, Aku, was going to receive the disgrace of a lifetime. On the day of the festival, Setra, as the first wife, was asked to go first. Come and see her displaying yam pounding skills. You know that when people have a point to prove, they are always extra. She would pound with her left hand, pound with her right hand, pound with both hands, pound sideways, raise the pestle high up and bring it down, just to show that she had all her limbs intact. Aku was called in second. When she came in, she started pounding with her right hand like she had always done. Setura and Ejiwa started to cheer and hurl insults at her. After about a minute of quietly pounding with her right hand, Aku took out her left hand. To the amazement of all the people present, when she brought it out, her hand was covered with gold. Proper Sika Koko, no fake Abyssinia. Sika Ankata. Setura was shocked. In making her allegations against Aku and the king to the elders, she and the Jewa had vowed with the greatest oath, the Ntamkesie. In punishment, they were each asked to slaughter 7 white sheep and offer drinks to appease gods for slandering the king and his wife. And then they were banished from Adepaye. The king and Aku paraded the streets of Adepaye to thank all and sundry. Wherever she passed and the people saw the gold on her hand, they shouted, "Siko, Sika! Siko, Sika!" The villagers praised and adored her. They named her Aku Sika, literally meaning Aku, the woman of gold. And there you have it, the legend of Aku Sika. Did you like the story? And did you learn anything from the legend of Aku Sika? On my part, I got to appreciate that once there is life, there is hope. Some terrible things that happened to Aku, life is as it usually does, contains both the bitter and the sweet. Aku's life eventually took a turn for the better. Thank you for listening to my narration of the legend of Aku Sika. Please subscribe to support my channel and leave a comment below on any beloved African folk tales you would like to be retold. Until next time, when we meet by the fireside under the moonlight, keep smiling.